We're unlimited. When we work together, there's no way we won't be strong. Unlimited. We're here for each other. We've got my back. I'm where I belong. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. Together. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. Together. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. Together. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling. Together.
Ooh, we got a fancy K-Town Island map?
Yeah. I thought I'd just stick it up there as the background for Korthos. I tried to recreate a lot of the actual Korthos from the game. Because I'm obsessed. But you will notice there's some different things here. And not I've marked out usually the things that are lettered, or some of them are things that were just like, you know, quests in Dungeons and Dragons Online. Just, I guess, to mark that, hey, they still exist here. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a point of interest.
Well, I'm just happy I'm real familiar with K-Town, because my screen is so tiny, the key is completely eaten up by the chat block.
And if you need a larger version, I do have like larger versions that I can share with you. So just ask if that becomes a problem.
Just for fun, can you throw share one in the image so we have it in our images and maps? I mean, at some point, not necessarily right this second, obviously. But...
Do it now.
I will do it now. It's going to be bigger too.
That's usually better.
Some of us are really blind.
So as we get started, how about everybody roll a d20 in the tower so it's secret? And how about everybody roll a second d20 in the tower?
Did we get paid for slaying the beast?
That's where we're going to start off. Alright, I'm sharing a large sunny side. It should be the same thing as what's on the background for the fantasy ground.
It hasn't loaded yet for me, but the first thing I thought of when you said you're sharing a large sunny side was a gigantic egg, and I was like, oh?
Ooh. Yeah, it's fairly large, which is why it's going to take forever to load, which is why I did the background decal instead for reference, because I thought it might be a little bit unwieldy. But it's kind of for reference. We're going to try to use smaller maps than that whenever possible.
It's good to have a master map.
Yeah. For a summary of last session, since Nissha and Brighton might not know what's happened, even though they took part.
Thank heavens, because it meant I got to play while I was dying.
Yeah, that worked out pretty well. And we just called you like fake Brighton and fake Nissha throughout the whole session. It's like your doppelgangers.
Well, it was funny because I was Brighton. I was running you, and she'd go, "Brighton, what are you doing?" And I'm just sitting here like, "La la 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 la."
Fake Brighton.
La, la, la. Oh, that's me. Oh, right.
And I want to call you Tasty Friends. Hello, Tasty Friends. Hello, Tasty Friends.
Cha-cha-za.
Cha-cha-za. In the last session...
This map is huge.
It's huge, isn't it? And that's not even the largest version of it. Isn't that crazy? I obviously have problems. I am a map fiend. In the last session, the party had entered a swamp on the trail of the huge albino alligator. You found yourself surrounded by a frenzy of thirsty giant leeches. The bloodsuckers drained Izzy unconscious almost immediately, and Zaleria, Nissha, and Kit Kat were all bloodied and drained in the ruckus. Both Pants fared better throughout the battle due to his natural Warforged low blood count, and Brighton persisted through sheer rage and determination. Aleran was either incredibly lucky or incredibly skilled, or maybe he just carries leech repellent or something, because he was barely touched. As Izzy lay dying amongst the lily pads, a band of goblins emerged from the underbrush. Their leader, Paco, administered healing to your halfling cleric, and the goblins, rather than shooting you dead, proceeded to aid you in the battle. Turns out, the goblins were also hunting El Legarto, and they warned you that there were kobolds running around the swamp who worshipped the alligator as a god. You struck up a deal with the goblins, since they only want the alligator hide, and you only need the head for your bounty. Paco also mentioned to you that he was looking for another tasty friend, a ranger bugbear named Gulvor, that his boss was expecting back in Stormreach but never arrived. You deliberately failed to mention the dead bugbear you found in the water spider cave, or the map, battle axe, and journal that Aleran and Nissha looted from his body. So, I don't know how tasty of friends those are.
Well, most of them are dead now, so...
Not the tastiest of friends. Slightly tasty. When you finally found El Legarto, the beast was under the control of a kobold shaman. In the battle, one of the goblins died, and Paco was nearly chewed in two, not to mention accidentally stabbed by Aleran while the goblin was clamped in the alligator's jaws. Whoopsie. After routing the kobolds, Brighton landed the death blow, splitting El Legarto's skull in twain with his great axe. Now all that remains is for you to literally collect the remains, plus collect your spoils and return to Willowdale for your reward. In the aftermath of the battle, oh, and let me share the swamp. This is where we were. I did not include all of the goblins that are alive, but there's probably like 9 or 10 goblins, along with Paco, that are his friends that were helping you out.
I was going to say, you also did not include the small army of corpses.
I did not include the small army of all the dead kobolds.
The dead kobolds and...
The one dead goblin and all the dead kobolds. And El Legarto is dead.
Oh, one point of interest from Fantasy Grounds operations. We need to be re-added back to the party sheet, because we're disconnected from what's on the map now.
What do you mean you were disconnected from the map?
Like, there's an icon of us there, but we're not on the party. Like our current us's aren't on the party.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let me,
You know how that good old disconnect happens? I just wanted to point that out before we started getting into an encounter, and then all of a sudden nothing's working.
I'm randomly putting you everywhere, so who knows? Who knows where you are on this map? Where is Izzy? I'm putting Izzy near Paco because he was in sad shape.
Yes, and I made him feel better.
Yeah, and if any of you guys were wounded, in the transfer between campaigns, you automatically got a long rest. So, wee!
I was just about to say, Paco has 3 hit points?
Well, he did kind of get eaten in half.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
accidentally typed over something because Paco does not have 3 hit points.
So no wonder he went dying every time he got hit. I mean, none of us are made of hit points either, but
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Paco.
that's on the thin side even for a goblin.
I'm not re-adding him. He actually has 33 hit points, but okay.
Oh, okay. That's a little better.
I think I'd have to re-add him to fix it. We're going to move ahead.
Carry on.
So, you need the head. The goblins want the hide. What do you do?
Well, since Brighton has an axe, it's very clearly well equipped to cause structural damage to the alligator.
So you want me to go ahead and just chop the head off?
Yeah. I mean, and just tell me, are you like searching for loot or anything else in the area? Are you just going to chop off the head? Are you going to go ahead with your deal and let the goblins take the hide?
Can we do a necropsy and see what it ate and see if there's anything worthwhile inside its belly?
Sure. In terms of if whoever wants to work on chopping off the head and maybe helping the goblins skin the body and do the autopsy, do a survival check.
I don't have any sharp objects, otherwise I would assist.
And anyone who wants to search the area, do a perception check. Alright, Brighton is very good at this. He's used to swinging his axe, but apparently both he and Aleran know it. Brighton has great skill apparently at skinning beasts.
Aleran again with the looting eyes. Can't perceive anything until there's loot involved.
And everybody else perceives some other stuff. So Brian doesn't have any trouble. I guess you got the skill maybe from, this is how you made your mask out of Bright Claw.
Oh yeah, this is not too terribly different from having to take apart a dinosaur.
So this is totally your wheelhouse. Absolutely no problem helping the goblin skin this beast. You get the head. It does have that cleave in the middle of the skull. So the head is actually kind of like V-shaped at this point with that large gash in the middle where you can see some brain matter. It's not a particularly large brain. Inside
brain.
Inside the gut of the alligator, Brighton manages to notice, well, there's a lot of goop. There's a lot of decay, dead creatures. You know, the remains of different animals. Some are alligator-y. But he also sees a glint, a little sliver of what looks like purplish material. And you can see the color despite it being in the guts of this dead alligator. So it seems to be somewhat magical in nature.
Loot that snarky thing.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna root around in the guts and pull out whatever is shiny and purple.
You manage to spot it before Paco does. So you can safely tuck it away. And as you tuck it away, you
Do I need to
notice.
roll a stealth check to see if or sleight of hand, see if I get it before he notices?
I kind of did it as contested perception, but if you want to do another roll to see if you succeed, I can certainly make it more complex. As you put the bag away, okay, you definitely get it without Paco noticing.
Oh no!
I did not roll a 1, but hey.
Well, considering that Paco it probably looks a little Frankenstein-like with his two halves sewn together.
This is true. He's shaken. He be shook.
That happens when you only have 3 out of 33 hit points.
Hey,
Sure.
I made sure his insides were on the inside before I fixed him.
Yeah. But he's been through a lot. He's like been to death and back again and then to death and then back again.
I'm having Strix flashbacks.
I'm just hoping he.
And as you slip the purple bag out of the alligator guts and into your own sack, you notice there's embroidered letter Z on the bag, like Z as in Zindalo. Aleran, as well as Kit Kat and Pants. They're all looking in a different direction than the guts of the alligator. Maybe because it's gross, maybe because they're just standing around awkwardly.
You know, I just deleted that as a skill off of my character sheet.
Oh, really? Is Pants improving his awkwardness?
No, I was just removing it so I wouldn't be tempted to roll it randomly.
Okay. It's like one day you could have smoothness as a skill. Pants looking cool, standing around.
Yeah.
For the three of you, you notice there's a copse of sagging moss, and in this moss and decaying vegetation and broken reeds, you espy an alligator nest. Apparently, El Legarto was in fact La Lagarta.
Woo!
Most of the shell casings are befouled with dark, sticky ichor, unviable due to the magic affecting the alligator mother that produced them. But amongst the filth and corruption, however, you see a glint of white. There are intact eggs here. And how about you guys make a stealth check? That'd be like Aleran, Pants, and Kit Kat. Oh, you're disadvantaged because of your armor.
Yep, heavy armor.
Well, Kit Kat, you're definitely able to pick up one of these eggs if you want to before the goblins notice you're looking at something. There are 5 eggs altogether. Now, when Pants and Aleran go squeaking over there are goblins who notice the sound and they're like, "What you doing over there?
I know what these are. These are what you make omelets with. These will make big omelets.
Kit Kat grabs and kind of hides it behind her back.
Right, you're totally free and clear with your egg.
Yeah.
Pants is holding one up.
Pan,
I'm
if you
assuming it's
want-
about.
if you want to grab an egg, you can actually manage to be stealthy enough to grab one.
No, that's what I mean. Is he's not being stealthy? Like he's literally holding it up in front of him, admiring it, like announcing that this would make a really big omelet.
So at this point, there are 4 eggs left, and Paco walks up to where you guys are looking in the nest, and he's like, "Oh, you look at that, cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. You think these are your alligator eggs? Little baby jump."
I vigorously shake it. Listen to the sloshing sound.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I think it was one. It isn't anymore.
Hey, you think somebody buy this off of us? Eh? We need the money. Za, 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 za. You want egg? We split egg with you.
I think
How
if
can
you
we
split the
split an
egg, it
egg?
doesn't really work anymore.
They're 4 egg. You take 2 eggs, eh? We take 2 eggs. We tasty fans. Everybody has eggs.
Like,
Kit Kat's
Kinda
kind of just standing there like, yep, there's 4 eggs. Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, there's 4. Only 4.
kind of look over at the other members of the party who actually need food to sustain themselves, and like this is your guys' bailiwick. He has no concept of the fact that there's going to be an alligator growing out of it at some point.
Now that the eggs have been brought to everybody's attention, I'm wondering if the ranger has any, if she wants to look at them or have any opinion.
And Aleran's going to express the thought that we probably ought to, if we're going to eat them, that's fine, but I think we should do away with them rather than taking the chance that another Legarto would come to the planet at some point in time down the road.
Keep in mind that there was, at the beginning, an offer from House Vadalis for you to
I was
capture the
just
alligator.
thinking that.
So it would be definitely easier to bring eggs than. No, that makes sense.
Now, whether or not you probably wouldn't be able to get the same amount of money because it's an egg, and how do they know they're going to get out of it? But you could eat it, or you could try to sell it.
If we're going to carry the egg back to give it, it's going to need some sort of care. It's not like we can just toss these in our backpacks and juggle them.
Well, no, but Pants doesn't know this, but reptile eggs don't actually require as much heat as like a bird would. They're cold-blooded.
Well, I suppose the ranger would know more about that.
The ranger, Aleran has some experience with wild animals. So the 2 of them are probably best suited. Brighton might have some skills in this area because he's used to raptors. So there might be some transferable knowledge. Oh no, Pants lost connection. Have I lost connection? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Excellent.
Yes.
From Aleran's perspective, he doesn't have a lot of experience with reptiles, so he doesn't know a lot as far as what would be needed in order to transport them safely.
Egg cozies. That's what you need.
I think egg cozies will help. They'll certainly help protect them from getting random cracks, etc. And if you decide to try to transfer them back, I'll probably do to check to see if you're successful in being careful with them.
Yeah, Brighton probably does have some experience. I mean, his raptor wasn't female, but I don't think she was female. I have to check.
I imagine they wouldn't require a lot of heat since it's just the energy generated by the decomposition of the material of the nest that keeps them warm.
Mm-hmm.
So probably body heat would be sufficient.
Right. I don't know about the one that Pants is juggling, though.
Yeah, I think he already made an omelet inside that egg.
Is juggling good for eggs? Maybe that alligator will just be born confused.
I believe it's a thing called egg addling. It depends on its gestational age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's a very young egg, then it won't hurt it as much as if it's a more closely formed.
These are potentially fairly old eggs that have only been kept viable due to the magic they came in contact with. So who knows? I guess, okay, so...
How sloshy? Does Pants recall how sloshy it was when he shook it?
He did not hear sounds.
Well, okay.
He shook it, and it was like he was shaking an egg, but it's just like he was shaking, a ball.
That means these are gonna hatch, like, right now. But wait, you wouldn't know that.
In general, is the party interested in taking two more of the eggs, or do you want to just let the goblins have them?
If we can turn them in for money, I guess it probably makes sense. But we probably should take a vote.
Yeah.
Does our ranger want one for an animal companion?
What'd you say, Pierce?
I said, does our ranger want an egg to have an animal companion?
I think we already established that I was going to have a different animal companion, like
Okay.
not.
But
reptile.
I mean, you could technically use your ranger skills to raise a alligator if you wanted to. I'm not going to restrict you.
I mean, that would be pretty cool.
There'll be some checks and stuff along the way to see if you're successful at it, but you can certainly try if you're interested in trying.
That would make the best security system for our barracks at the HUGS local.
We could even make him his own moat.
Keep him like in the harbor. That won't go wrong.
I think that could go wrong with that.
Nothing could go wrong. So, okay, if you want to take eggs, type I in the Fantasy Grounds chat. And nay if you don't.
We all took you very literally with the eye.
I was thinking about that. Only one person got it. Actually, my first thought was press F to pay respects, but...
So you got Pants and Nissha don't want to mess with eggs. Okay, so it looks like you are taking 2 eggs. Who wants to have them in their inventory? I've already given one to Kit Kat.
I'll take one.
To be fair, though, with regards to backpacks, Pants would probably be the most likely because the only thing in his backpack is a set of dice. So there could very easily be a cushy, knitted, egg-dedicated backpack.
There we go.
Without risk of it getting crunched against, crowbars and lanterns and...
I think Zaleria will probably need to have one if she's going to try to hatch it.
I mean, she could just carry my backpack. I don't care. It's just actually there is a piece of there is a piece of quartz in there. With okay, whatever.
Yeah, you started to get collectible junk. So Kit Kat has one. I'm going to put one in Zaleria's inventory. And who wants to carry the other one?
Didn't you just say it was Kit Kat and Zaleria?
Well, Zaleria had already pilfered a secret one.
Oh, right, her
I
stolen one.
had Kit Kat went and stole one.
So there's
Zaleria.
Yeah,
one non-secret egg still up for grabs.
Yeah, so I thought I hadn't got one until now, so I'll take that one.
Yeah, you should have one in your inventory now.
Well, I've got yarn in mine, so we could just wrap it up and
You
put
wrap it up
my
in the
bag.
yarn.
Yeah.
Wait, does this mean that any bag containing an egg is now an egg sack?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
Nissha kind of sneers at this whole idea because Isabel was not known as a zookeeper. She was known as a warrior.
Now, other than what you've gathered out of the gut of the alligator and out of this little gator nest, you find a few bits and pieces. You find a few bits and pieces amongst the kobold bodies, especially the kobold shaman or shaman, depending on your region of origin.
Potato, potato.
There are a couple things of interest. I'm going to put them in your party inventory.
Yeah, speaking of which, can we add things to our inventories if we're not in the party sheet?
Oh, is that what you're talking about me adding
Yeah,
you to?
that's what I was talking
Oh,
about.
I thought you were talking about the combat tracker, dude.
Oh no, that combat, not that. No, we're done with that combat.
Well,
I
this
couldn't
is
care less
okay.
about that, but no,
That was a matter of
That's what-
comprehension for me.
yeah, because we need to be on this party sheet and then drag into the combat tracker from here for it to be all, connecty, happy.
This is what happens when you change over campaigns because things.
Yeah.
It's
Things
been
disconnect.
so long since the last time we did this that I'm like not even remembering the way things work. But it should be okay for now.
And I'm trusting your notes because, of course, you're the DM. Because all of my notes with the contacts, points of contact, and rewards were in the last campaign. So I was like, oh, well.
You find a little citrine gem. You find the kind of holy focus that the kobold shaman was using to cast spells and to control the alligator before, and it looks like a type of acorn. It's kind of almost like a lizard's eye in appearance. You find some miscellaneous roots and fetishes of the kobold's worship. And you also find a deep purple dragon shard.
Nothing blows my mind more than the amount of prep you've gone in to actually put descriptions and histories and lore in on every single item.
I know, it's a problem. And you find some miscellaneous gold and silver pieces. Now, can everybody see the stuff in your parcel items now on the
Yes.
party inventory?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So Brighton should have the magic sack. That sounds so wrong. And
You
who wants the other
just made
thing?
it sound wrong by pointing out that it sounded wrong.
I
Sound
know.
perfectly fine.
It was
Sound
fine.
perfectly fine.
Who wants other stuff?
What other stuff was there again? If there was any. What was that?
There's a citrine gem, a dragon's eye acorn, a type of root, an icon of Kyber, a Kyber dragon shard, a mystical plant, and sparkling dust.
If you click on the party sheet up in the upper right, there's a icon that
there it
looks like
is.
a group of people, and then go to inventory. You can peruse at your leisure,
Taking a look.
and then just drag the shield over into your inventory for anything you want to take.
Or if you want to just say we're taking all that stuff, somebody like dumps their stuff, we can figure it out later.
Yeah, we'll take all of it. I mean, they're like, the small things in life. But you can sell these stuff, so.
Yeah, some of them might come in handy later.
Exactly.
I think we should pick it all up. If I need to carry some of it, that's fine.
Take the lot of it.
At this point, Zaleria hears an outcry coming from the west. It's the sound of an animal in fear.
I'm sorry, what about fear?
Zaleria hears an outcry coming from the west. It's the sound of an animal in fear.
Okay, Zaleria would like to investigate that sound.
As a point of bookkeeping, are you considering mystical plant to be a collectible?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I see
Brighton,
7-8.
there's a backpack in the party sheet that's assigned for you too.
Oh, that's right. I gotta grab my sack.
Yeah, that's your sack.
At least it's not a sad sack.
So I'm moving Zaleria to the west. Can you guys move your own, your own avatars?
Here's that way.
Okay, cool. So going to the west, Zaleria spots a young elk. Shaking its first horns frantically in distress. This elk has stumbled across a sinkhole in the mud in the swamp, and it's fighting to find solid purchase, but it's surely going to fall prey to this vacuum of muck and drown, suffocate, or it's a miracle that a passing predator hasn't consumed it up to this point.
Okay, Zaleria would like to try and free the animal.
What are you going to do to try to free the animal?
You said it was stuck in mud?
Yeah, it's like a sinkhole in the muck and mud of the swamp. It's basically the animal can't get enough maneuverability to fight its way free to the more solid shore, and it's slowly sinking deeper and deeper into the mud, and it's going to drown if left unaided.
Can we tell the diameter of the sinkhole so we can know how far we need to stay back?
You can do a nature check or survival, whichever is better.
Oh, come on, Pants, don't make me cry.
Let's see, nature or survival. Okay, well that one's not negative.
The three who have rolled so far can all tell, everybody can tell, that the sinkhole is isolated to where the elk is right now, that the areas just around it don't seem to have the same vortex of gravity.
And there's all of our dice magic for the session.
Yeah, I'm pretty
That's
impressed by
nuts.
your ability to detect mud right now.
Hey guys,
And
you discovered mud. Congratulations.
Whoa!
and
That's
Izzy,
mind-blowing!
yes, that scene caused a whole bunch of people to need therapy for an entire generation.
I don't know. I'm still needing therapy over it. That was just horrible.
It was some brutal stuff. So, while we're all gathering around it, Pants kind of looks over at Zaleria and goes, "We could just lasso the hordes and then pull it out."
Pants, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Alrighty.
Okay, so Zaleria will attempt to lasso the elk around the neck, I guess?
Do-
Somewhere to pull it out.
The horns,
Well-
don't make it a noose.
Well, I didn't know like, it would be painful to pull from the horns.
A
But,
lot
yeah,
less
choking.
painful than the
Put
neck.
it around the stomach.
That
Well, the
sounds,
stomach
yeah.
is under the mud.
Can? Oh, jeez.
Describing
Alright,
the elk, the elk is at least the neck up is the most visible part right now. You see it trying to move its front hooves, but those are under the surface of the mud and it's struggling, but that's the only part of its body it can move at all right now. So the only areas you really have to work with without getting up close and personal and potentially being in the danger spot is from the neck to the horns.
I say tying a noose around the horns is much better than tying a noose around the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want to lasso it, Zaleria, do a ranged attack roll.
Bonnie, just for visual aid, I put something in Discord to see if that's kind of what I'm picturing. Is that correct?
Yeah, except for maybe a little bit at an angle.
Well, right, but okay.
Like
but,
the front part of the
same
body is up a
general...
little bit higher than the lower part of the body.
Okay, but same general.
But same general idea.
So yeah, getting it around the body is not really an option unless we get in there and like reach around and reach around the thrashing animal.
Then who knows what will happen?
So we've already established that the Warforged does not need to breathe. So we tie a rope around the Warforged, send him into the mud pit to rescue the deer, and then we can pull him out later if we need.
Well, okay. Let me a point of contention there. Gigantic. What is it? What is he like? 480, 500, something like that. Hold on. Yeah, 450-pound Warforged in a suction pit.
Now, the rope around it will keep you from completely disappearing, but yeah.
It won't necessarily let me get back out either. Like,
But
yeah,
there's
sure,
more
I
than
won't
one
be
of us, and like just Nissha by herself can lift, push, or drag 480 pounds.
How about we just see if we can give them give the elk a hand before, you know, with the rope around the antlers and a little gentle tug. Maybe that'll give it the bracing it needs before sending me to a watery, muddy tomb.
So,
Just trying to offer some options.
Zaleria, you can just tie your lasso directly around the horns, or you can try to be fancy with it and lasso it with a ranged attack.
How would I do that? Like, how do I roll a range attack on here?
You would just go to your attack weapons and use your attack dice for your bow.
Okay, that's what.
Okay,
Just saw
so
something.
Zaleria, you effortlessly swing your lasso over your head, let loose, and lasso the young elk's horns. You pull the rope taut, and it's secure as it's going to be.
Okay, so now let's attempt to pull it out of the pit that it's in.
There is not a lasso in the player's handbook. I'm a little shocked at that.
I know, we might have to do something about that. I thought with all the new stuff I added that maybe there'd be a lasso.
Yeah, because I was just like, oh, we'll just throw a lasso into our inventory. There you go. Problem solved. No, okay.
Oh, there is a lasso now.
There is?
Yeah, in the equipment I added, it added some expanded equipment. And now there is a lasso in Zaleria's inventory.
I still don't have that.
That's because it's in Zaleria's inventory.
Well, no, but I
You
mean,
guys
like in the...
might not have, you might have to load the modules yourselves.
Yeah, I probably don't have
But
all your
as
modules loaded.
Dungeon Master, I see all. Okay, so it's going to be a strength check to see if you alone can pull the elk out of the mud, Zaleria, but I'm sure that the other members of your party can assist you and make it a roll with advantage.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, sounds good.
Just in case, Pants will tie the other end around his waist and stand in the middle of the island, just so that the elk doesn't pull anyone back in. On accident.
Alrighty. So do a strength check, Zaleria.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Do it with advantage, so you get to roll another time.
Is this a check or a save?
It's a check. Alright, that's good enough. So you strain a little bit. All of you that are pulling against the gravity and suction of the mud, and there's some flailing and struggling, and the elk lets out a few pitiful squeals. But after a minute's struggle, its hooves manage to burst out of the mud, and you see it gradually move closer and closer to you until finally the elk struggles and stands like it's a newborn calf and manages to walk up onto the island of solid ground next to you, safe but covered in muck. So,
Okay.
you now have an elk.
Yay!
I'm assuming you're going to want to care and feed this elk and, check it for any injuries because of its ordeal. And it will be content to follow you out of the swamp.
Okay, sweet. So, I would like to check the elk for injuries. Does it have any?
It's very stressed and it needs some comforting, some soothing to kind of calm down because it's very tense. It's a dangerous place, and this is a young elk. It seems lost and alone. It was perhaps separated from its family, or its family was killed by the wildlife in this place. Swamps are not exactly an elk-friendly location. So it needs soothing, but you have helped it, and so it gravitates to staying by you and walking by you because your presence gives its comfort now.
Okay, can I try and speak with animals, like with the elk, and try and comfort it?
Certainly.
Do I just drag the shield to the elk, like the icon to the elk?
Let me check something because I'm not sure you actually need to do anything.
You just mark the spell slot off. That's a
Yeah, just mark the
narrative
spell slot
effect.
off. You cast the spell. You cast a spell. It lasts for about 10 minutes. So what do you say to this elk?
First I'm gonna ask how it got into the swamp.
I was running. I was scared. And then I just felt myself falling.
Okay.
There's monsters here. So many scary things. Leeches.
Okay, I'm gonna comfort it and say, like, you're safe now, you're with us, and we're gonna leave the swamp.
You seem nice. What's your name?
My name is Zaleria. What's your name?
My name is Bambershoot.
Very cute.
Do you want to be friends?
Did
Yes.
she say bamboo shoot?
Bambershoot.
Yes, I would like to be friends with you, Bambershoot.
Where are you going? It's not the swamp, is it?
No, we're going to the coast. I think we're going to Korthos Island.
What is an island?
It's a body of land surrounded by water.
I'm not sure what that means, but if you're going there, I'd be happy to come along.
Okay, sounds
So-
good.
You guys start heading back to the Braza farm, making your way out of the swamp, and you're able to return without any further ado. You reach the farm, and the Zindalo brothers are there, and everybody piles back on the riverboat, and you
Plus
sail.
elk.
You sail back up the river in the riverboat back to Willowdale. Brighton, if you want to, you can help them sail the riverboat.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, because you have skills now. So you reach Willowdale with no further, stress or craziness. No more wasp swarms, no more alligators, except for a few that you see kind of swimming along in the water, but they aren't aggressive. No more goblins or orcs. And I guess I should mention that you say farewell to Paco and his friends and kind of part ways, and he expresses his intention to keep looking for Gulvor, the missing bugbear, who apparently had some kind of information for his boss back in Stormreach.
Yeah, the missing bugbear whose corpse we totally did not find and steal his map made of human skin.
Yeah.
Nope, not us.
Totally didn't find that. I have no idea where this bugbear is. Haven't seen him.
Or my pretty purple axe.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to ask you, who's carrying the alligator head?
Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton probably would be taking the
Okay.
alligator head.
I didn't make an individual item for the alligator head, but consider it be at least 100 pounds.
I figured he'd be almost trying to wear it like a helmet.
Like, this alligator head,
On a halfling?
it's like as tall as a halfling. So if you carry it over your head, it's as big as you. You kind of look like you're the Flintstones, carrying one of those ginormous brontosaurus steaks.
You know what it is? It's one of those Chinese dragons.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm still not over encumbered.
So you make it back to Willowdale and to the tavern where you first encountered Lord Garrett and Zindalo. If I recall correctly, that was the Sunken Barge Tavern. And
Yes.
when you present Lord Garridan with this alligator skull cracked open, he is obviously thrilled. But at the same time, he expresses a little disappointment that the head is in no state to mount on his tavern wall. And he fiddles with it a little bit, trying to push the two halves of the skull back together, but it's just so huge that he's not having any success. And he kind of mutters drunkenly about Happy Harold maybe being able to do something with it. But he pays you the promised 1,200 gold pieces. And he also gives you a box that was set aside by Riverwide Stoutfield. That was the reward for helping rescue his son.
Is this the half case of what was it, YK 870 or something?
Yes, there is a crate of wine, 978 YK. And as the little additional reward for bringing his son back alive, there is a pearl. It's kind of lustrous, fairly large and gleaming. It's quite a nice pearl.
Ooh.
Mayhaps a swamp pearl?
It is not a swamp pearl. I totally overlooked that, and now I'm kicking myself.
Lost opportunity!
So you have a pearl and you have a crate of wine. Now, as you walk away with your rewards, you see Lord Zindalo take a card out of his tabard. It's a union business card like the one that Nola Soldarak gave Aleran. He sets it aflame with a candle on the bar, and he calls for a free round of ale on the house. There's a flash... Yeah?
Oh, no, go ahead.
There's a flash of heat, and a small whiff of smoke suddenly comes out of Aleran's pack. And for those of you who are carrying the gold bounty, the bag of gold for the monster hunt, you feel like your load is suddenly a little bit lighter.
Ooh.
1,200 gold just disappeared?
If you look in the bag, if you count the gold, now instead of 1,200 gold, because you saw him count out the reward as he was paying you. Now the bag only contains 1,100 gold. And Aleran, if you go into your pack, you notice that a citrine you had looted before from an encounter with some orcs is now gone. You also notice that your HUGS business card is where the smoke is coming from. And if you look at it, turn it over, you see it now has a message burnt onto its back in handwritten script. And it says, "Job complete. Union dues paid, transport on its way, return to Korthos," and it's signed in S. So Pants is right, it's the dang union cut.
They're not taking any chances.
So who's gonna carry the wine?
Sounds like Pants is gonna carry the wine.
Yes.
I think Pants is the one who has expressed the most understanding of how valuable this wine is.
All right, so there we go. Creative wine just carried.
Who wants the pearl?
I'll take the pearl.
All right, I put your name on.
All right.
So,
And does Aleran have our sack of 1,100 gold?
sure.
Or is that being cut? Okay.
Actually, I'll go ahead and tell you, rather than like dump it all on him, that I have to math again. I mathed before and then I didn't write it down. Everybody gets 157, wait. Everyone gets 163 gold pieces.
Ooh.
I kind of added in some miscellaneous gold that we had in the party sheet.
Are you putting that into our inventory for
No,
us in the party?
everybody give yourself 163 gold pieces onto what you already have.
That's making us do the maths.
Yeah. I'm sharing the load equally. I just did some maths. You get to do some maths. Everybody does some maths. It's fun.
Well, I just find it easier to keep that going along and stay on top of it, so that we don't end up with like a kobold kindergarten party cache, so to speak.
Of 5 million gold pieces.
Yeah, 5 million items and like a billion items that no one's actually carrying. Like,
Especially because periodically I'll just clear out the party sheet and be like, okay, obviously nobody wanted it, so it's going to the Dorcas shop. So you can get a free drink while you're at the Sunken Barge, and about 2 hours later, Leopold the rabbit shifter shows up at the bar, and he's the he captained the riverboat that you took from Stormreach to Willowdale earlier. He is a captain for Sir Next riverboats out of Stormreach. So he locates you in the tavern and says, "Hey, your ride's here." And he, if you guys load onto the riverboat, within 2 hours, he escorts you back to Stormreach.
Easy enough. Pants will park himself on the riverboat and post up and wait until we depart.
So yeah, you have a couple hours to kind of, gather your thoughts and consider your alligator eggs and your newfound elk friends and your gold.
Do I have time to fiddle with my sack?
You do have time to fiddle with your sack.
I never want to hear that sentence again.
Now, your backpack, if you want to try to do an Arcana check, you can try to figure out what it is.
This is going to go not well.
If you're on the boat, Pants can offer his idea so we can have assistance.
Anybody who wants to can give it a go. Or if somebody has Identify. I'm not sure if any of you do have Identify.
Do I have Identify?
Well, I'm using up my good rolls now.
Yeah, I don't see nobody has that spell yet. Actually, Aleran is ridiculous. So Aleran actually has spotted one of these before, not with the letter Z on it, but he has seen a sack such as Brighton's before.
And what does said sack do?
All right, it should be visible now. It's a Heward's handy haversack.
Ooh.
We could rename it to be Brighton's handy sack if you want to.
Well, that's what we're going to be calling it anyway.
Let me rename that.
Well, since Aleran knows what that is, then I'm pretty sure we could put the crate of wine into Brighton's handy sack.
You totally could.
So that, I have my hands free again.
All right, so just filling me in, since I already know but don't know. So I'm guessing this is some sort of magical bag bag of holding kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a variation on the bag of holding.
Like a backpack version of it with multiple pouches. They're not quite as large as a bag of holding, but
It has a lot of side pouches that can hold smaller weights of things. So I think the crate of wine might be a little bit heavy to put in one of the side pouches, but it can certainly fit in the large central pouch.
and thereby be safe from being jostled. I threw the crate of wine back in the party sheet for Brighton to grab.
The same rules apply for this sack as would apply to a bag of holding, so like the suffocation rules and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't put your bag of holding into into your handy sack.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Don't put a halfling in.
Don't put a halfling in your bag of holding into your Brighton's handy sack.
So how big is this crate?
I would imagine, same size as...
Yeah, it's about a foot wide, maybe a foot and a half long. It weighs 24 pounds. It's just the right size to fit into the central pouch of the sack.
So how do I denote the things are in the sack?
I think you write, I think you have to write the name of the item that it's into, or you can drag it on top of the item maybe, and it will show as a sub-item.
When in your inventory list, where it says location, you would just make some sort of abbreviation for your handy sack. And what you can do to kill the weight is on where it says equipped or carried, click the equipped bubble until it's clear. So it's denoted as in your handy snack and doesn't count against your encumbrance. If that explanation made any sense to anyone but me.
It makes fake sense.
Okay. So basically, when something is in there, then I can just put that it is not carried.
Right.
And that
Right.
will designate in the sack.
You'd click through it, it'll toggle from equipped, then it'll go to carried, and then it'll be blank, and then that won't count against your weighty stuff.
Okay.
So let's imagine that Brighton spends the next 2 hours playing with his new sack, putting things in it, taking things out. And you reach Stormreach. You find out that the boat out of Stormreach to Korthos, the Sojourn, leaves the next morning. So you get to spend the night in Stormreach. And one of the benefits of being part of the Union is you get put up at any place that has locals, at accommodations that are suitable for your rank of favor with the Union, with your seniority. So you get free room and board in Stormreach for the night. It's nothing fancy. It's at the Leaky Dinghy. But you do get a couple ales that are watered down on credit. You get, some pallets to sleep in that are mostly free of bed bugs. The place isn't on fire. That's a plus for you, Pants.
Right.
But you can do what you like overnight in Stormreach. As you come off of the riverboat, Aleran recognizes a man arguing with a ranger in the harbor, and they're standing by a cage that is set upon a cart, and inside the cage there is an owlbear. And the ranger is from the Owlbear Welfare League, and they're protesting owlbear abuse. There's a human man, and this is the fellow that Aleran recognizes. His name is Macton Bliff. He's a breeder for House Vadalis, and he works with your father, Aleran.
Okay.
There's also a half-orc standing nearby. He has a dragon mark. He seems to be associated with House Thrask. And as you overhear them arguing, you can tell that this owlbear is destined for the arena. You also know that if you're going to sell any of the Legarto eggs, this is the guy you're going to have to sell them to.
Oh, jeez.
Also, while you're on the dock, Kit Kat spots some playbills posted along the walls in the harbor.
Ooh.
Outside of different taverns and businesses and warehouses, these playbills are posted all over the place. And the artwork is very colorful and dramatic. And they all picture a brightly dressed harpy.
Oh.
Kit Kat, you recognize this harpy.
Oh, gosh.
This harpy is your rival, Lady Rara.
Lady Rara.
Give me a second. Raw.
Rah rah, ooh la
Rah
la.
rah. Rah rah.
And you see these playbills are advertising a concert, a House Fearland benefit concert that was held the previous evening to benefit Syrian refugees. And they're like little stickers on top of the playbills saying sold out. So your rival is doing well in the city of Stormreach.
All right, and Aleran's going to pull kind of everybody together or aside and kind of explain to them that that he knows this Macton Bliff, that Aleran didn't necessarily leave on good terms with his father because he didn't believe in kind of his I guess import-export business, and that if we want to sell the alligator eggs, that this guy might be who we want to talk to, but we need to be a little careful because he's probably not on the up and up.
Yeah, and you know that a lot of House Vodalis's business, not only in breeding creatures that were used in the last war, but like horses and cattle and attack tigers and things like that were used on the battlefield. Now the business, a lot of it is taken up with breeding exotic animals that are used both by House Thrask in their arenas as well as the Red Ring in Stormreach, which is a coliseum where gladiators and unlucky citizens work off their prison sentences if they survive through combat.
Death Dome!
Yeah.
I don't like giving the eggs to somebody like that. I mean, it's one thing to give them to somebody that's going to raise them as like a pet or like a moat thing, but I have a hard time giving it so that it can be raised to eat unlucky travel.
Or they might be fighting gladiators. They might be fighting criminals. That's what the Red Ring is for. Or it might be fighting, warriors in the House Thrask for glory. Or they might be set to fight each other.
My vote would go along the same ways of not selling the eggs to Macton.
So that's 2 votes for not selling. Is anyone in favor of selling the eggs to this guy?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a hard pass, a solid nope.
Especially after I knitted little alligator egg cozies for them. I'm not giving them up now.
And Aleran kind of pulls his cloak up over a little tighter over his head so that hopefully he isn't recognized.
Do a stealth check, Aleran.
Oh, this is going to suck.
Nissha thinks this group is looking more and more like a zoo.
All right. Macton catches sight of you across the harbor, and his eyes narrow. He spotted you. And you can tell that he's making a note of it. And you know that word is going to reach your father.
Pants waves.
Now, everybody who has an egg, I want you to do a nature check. So that's Kit Kat, Izzy, and Zaleria. All right, everybody's eggs have survived for today.
Yay!
All right, so you're spending the night in Stormreach. Is there anything else that anybody has an interest in doing, or that you want to check out while you're here overnight, or is there any particular that you want to particularly describe that you do while overnight?
I think I'd like to get a few arrows. I used a few while we were in the wilderness, and just to kind of restock.
Okay, there are merchants on the dock. And you can easily pick up masterwork arrows there.
Having, basically lived his very short life in a bar in Stormreach, and running errands for the frothy brothel, Pants would probably, I would think, know where he could go to get some lumber to get a slightly better 2x4, maybe upgrade to a 4x4. Maybe get some dense wood. You know, he's gonna go shopping.
Pant does not, unfortunately, Pants does not have the buying karma to find dense wood, but he can find a piece of wood large enough to upgrade to a 4x4.
Okay. How much are we? Well, he'll go and pick out a piece of wood that will upgrade his current situation and find out the asking price. How much for this one?
With Pants.
It's
And
a piece
I'm
of
sure
wood,
he can...
so they're going to charge him, a couple silver pieces for that. If you go for one that doesn't have any cracks in it, doesn't look like, it has any kind of splits or little mites or bugs, definitely termite free, it'll cost maybe 10 silver. And if you want to go for one that's pre-treated so that it's water resistant, that'll cost you about 50 silver pieces.
Okay, yeah, no, we're going top of the line, top shelf lumber here. Got the pre-treated, the pressure treatment,
wood.
And water resistant.
Soggy lumber no more.
Yeah.
And that's going to take it up to a 1d6 rather than a 1d4.
All right. We'll drop, you said 50 silver?
Yes. Aleran, you were saying something?
Oh, I was just going to say that I would go with Pants to make sure he didn't get taken advantage of.
Okay, excellent. Nissha, is there anything else you're going to do?
Nope.
All right. How about Izzy? You are in Stormreach and the House Jurasco Enclave is here. Is everybody cool and sound now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome!
Yes.
Bad Discord, no cookie.
For that, just to clarify, was that a 4x4 for
it is a
the weapon purchase?
4x4.
Okay, regular wood though, not like
regular
any special
wood. Like it's a 4x4 piece of solid oak, and it has been treated to be water resistant.
Gotcha.
So Izzy doesn't stop by House Jurasco.
No, she would not go back.
Because you've kind of distanced yourself a little bit from the house. It hasn't caught up with you yet, but you're kind of keeping your distance.
Exactly. I know eventually I'm going to get called to the carpet.
Okay. But now it's not the time to poke that beast.
No. I'm not, I'm not playing in that hornet's nest. So I finish up my alligator cozy and I make chicken mittens for Pant.
Brighton, is there anything else that you're going to do overnight?
Drink.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you have your wineskin that is orc-sized?
Right, that's going to get filled.
Yeah, you can totally get that filled up at the Leaky Dinghy. You might have to intimidate somebody to make sure it's not watered down, though. But there are plenty dirty kobolds to be had. KitKat, is there anything else that you would like to do?
So, KitKat first walks over to one of the posters and kind of rips it down in anger.
Mm-hmm.
And then she steps on it, but then she kind of heads to like find somewhere to sleep for the night.
Okay. Do you want to try to see if you can get tips at the Leaky Dinghy performing?
Sure.
Do a performance check.
Oh boy. Brown.
All right, you managed to earn 7 gold.
Yay. Do you want me to add that or?
Yeah, go ahead and add that to your inventory. Lastly,
It has been
Zaleria.
added.
What do you and Bambershoot do?
I think for now, I'm just gonna hang out with Bambershoot.
One interesting thing is there is a very long, tall flight of stairs that leads up to the leaky dinghy. It's easily 2 flights of stairs. So the whole picture of you leading this elk up the stairs to the tavern that you guys spent the night at is brilliant in my mind. And actually a small crowd kind of collects because they don't see a lot of elk necessarily in the city of Stormreach either.
They're all muttering about how she's bringing the food live now.
So there's sailors and there's refugees and there's a couple kind of bilge rats and stuff hanging around laughing and pointing as you kind of, help your elk get up the stairs. I'm literally picturing Bryce being escorted up the stairs by your dad.
That's not a pretty sight.
It's that level of coordination and kind of, come on up the stairs. That's what's going on with your elk friend now.
Okay, I can picture it perfectly.
Okay. I think that's everyone. So the night passes.
Did we figure out Rheist's arrow situation? Or sorry, Aleran's arrow
Yes,
situation?
you can totally
Okay.
refill your arrows. And
How much do they cost?
I'm just double checking it's not going to be much. Oh yeah, like that's how many do you need?
To get back to 20, I only need a small number, but let's say we buy 20 altogether.
All right, that's just going to be 10 silver pieces.
Okay, and it's 100 silver pieces to 1 gold?
10 silver.
10.
Or 10 silver pieces to 1 gold. So basically
So
1
1
gold.
gold.
And you should have an ammo counter on your actions page.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
can just update the number. So, come the dawn, the captain is waiting for you. The captain is Valeria, not to be confused with Zaleria. She's a drow, and the ship is the Sojourn. And you all board and set off for Korthos. It's a 2-day sailing trip back, and you can do whatever you want to spend the time aboard the ship. Brighton, you can also try your hand at swinging from a yardarm now that you've got your riverboat experience. Most of the crew is drow, so they're kind of like looking a bit askance at you if you try your hand at sailing alongside them.
Sure, why not? Let's see if I can fall into the ocean.
Okay, do an acrobatics check. Oh yeah, you do an excellent job. Some of the crew on the ship, including the first mate of Valeria named Ronewave, he's kind of impressed that a halfling can manage to handle some of these ropes and ties with such skill, because the boat has been constructed and made for medium-sized folk. I want everybody who has an alligator egg to do another nature check.
Oh geez.
Oh dear.
We used all our good rolls.
No, it's just Zaleria. Nature check for Zaleria.
Yeah, I'm on it.
All right. So over the 2 days, there's some rough weather at one point, and the ship is on the rough seas. The ship begins to toss and wave, and you guys manage, both Kit Kat and Izzy managed to lose control of your eggs at one point, and they topple out of your bags and crack on the floorboards of the ship.
Aw, man.
So Zaleria, you're the only one who still has a solid, viable egg now.
Is anyone else completely reminded of that high school experiment where you have to keep an egg safe for 24 hours?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I never did that, and that makes me sad.
I haven't done it yet. I'm pretty sure at one point we're gonna have to.
It's either an egg or a bag of flour.
The
I
egg
think
is
it's-
Or
so
an
much
actual
worse.
baby doll. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
flower.
I think that's what they do at my school, is an actual baby doll.
Oh, is it like one of those that cry and gives off signals?
Yeah.
And certain teachers can say that you can't bring your kids into class, so you have to find
Yeah.
babysitters for certain periods. Yeah, we
Yep.
had that too.
I gotta tell you, Tess, you bring one of those home, you're all on your own, kid. I ain't playing a grandparent.
I mean, but you need to be a grandma, Mom.
Not yet.
Thank you.
mean,
A teen mom is a warning, not life goals.
So,
Anywho, awkward conversation
Awkward.
aside.
But hey, now the
Hey,
On a very
19-year-old's
special Hugs
blushing.
Incorporated.
stay in school, don't have kids.
yeah.
Have
Guys are icky.
have puppies and kittens and elks.
Alright then. I'll stick with that.
And baby alligators. Baby alligators are okay. So,
Okay.
after 2 days of sailing, you reach the Korthos docks. And I'm going to share a map with you.
All the chicken mittens.
I thought Pants would like them.
Well, it's funny because there was a while ago we had this discussion about how Izzy would knit mittens for him to say that he would keep his hands warm, and he sat there and had this whole diatribe. I mean, this is offline about how
Yep.
Izzy said that his they would keep my hands warm, but that my hands don't get cold. So I didn't want to be rude, so I just held them, but they never got warm.
Aww.
Oh, so awkwardly adorable.
It is.
It would be. Now you have to constantly wear the chicken mitten because I'm worried that your hands are cold.
Aww.
Aw. Now, you knitted egg cozies as well. So on the one surviving egg that Zaleria has, what color is her cozy?
That's in Discord.
Oh, is it?
It is. Yeah.
Do I need to read Discord?
Yes.
You do.
Oh my word!
There you go.
Those chicken mittens are adorable.
Scroll up. There's
Oh my gosh! So it's green. It's like a little alligator. Oh my goodness! We need to. I'll have to put little pictures on the video when I put this on YouTube too, so the people who listen, all two of them, can see the crochet madness.
the knitted madness.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, does Izzy carry crochet hooks as well, or is it just?
I think she
knitting?
has. Well, she has knitting needles, but she has some little crooks too. So she could do all of that stuff.
Heck yeah,
I'm
she can.
assuming Izzy has mad skills in all of the knitting arts.
Yes.
Oh,
Fiber
oh, oh.
arts. She's quite proficient.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is D&D. Okay.
This is not the knit.
Forgetting what we're playing, right?
No, I'm from ages ago when this conversation happened. I did a little sketch while it was happening.
Aww.
Aw.
Aww.
And it's blurry, but it says, I think these mittens are broken. They aren't warming up.
I love it.
Because Pants waiting for his mittens to warm up is apparently a mood.
So I can put you on the dock if you want to be on the dock.
Sure, I can go on the
There's an
dock.
elk on the dock.
Doc Goose.
There's a Brighton on.
We still have the crate of wine in the parcel. Brighton, if you want to grab that one, she actually put a whole bunch of details, or not a whole bunch, but a bunch of details in the official one, including the sale value.
I'm bad at putting people in
Where
square.
do I find it?
On the party sheet, there should be an inventory tab, and it should still be there with your name on it. You should be able to just drag it to your personal inventory.
Yeah, just drag the shield over to your sheet.
Okay, so I got all you guys on the dock now.
Cool.
When you reach the port in Korthos, you get on a little rowboat, and the last 500 feet or so from the bay, you have to kind of ride on this little rowboat to the dock and then get out. And when you reach the dock, you see not only Nola Soldarak, your union rep, waiting for you, but Pants recognizes that to the left of her is the mayor of Korthos, Viggy Store, and to the right of her is a former captain, Rena de Thrani.
Ooh.
Now, I don't know if Pants is going to explain who these people are or how he explains, but everybody recognizes Nola because she's your contact for the Greater Union, or for the Heroic Union of Greater Stormreach.
Wait, does Pants actually recognize the importance of this person? Like, he may recognize the name, but...
You might know. I mean, I think that's up to you whether or not you actually have, and you can do perception rolls if you want to determine whether or not you actually understand the jobs of these people, but you know their first names.
Would that be more of an insight roll?
Yeah, an insight. That's fine. Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
So you know that Viggy is the mayor.
Okay.
Roll another insight for Renar.
Not a clue.
You do know that he does something with boats.
So that guy is the mayor of...
Connection issues are harsh.
Oh man, I was disconnected for that whole thing?
Yeah, you kind of were cut off.
Oh, damn. Okay. What I was saying was that guy is the mayor of Korthos Island, and this guy he does something with boats.
Nola waves at you, ushers you closer. Her hands are bedecked with multiple gold rings, and they glint in the afternoon sun. And she says,
"Well, look at yous kids. You made it to Korthos in 7 pieces. This means your probationary contract is considered complete, and I'm pleased to offer yous full hero status and benefits with the Union, Copper class."
Copper class?
Nola will present each of you with a copper union pin. So you now have copper seniority in terms of favor with the Heroic Union of Greater Stormreach.
Then we have a pin?
We have a Nissha missing, so hopefully she can reconnect. I'm going to be dragging these pins to your inventory.
Yay!
I'm failing to draw.
Nissha, you may be here on Discord, but you're gone in
Yeah, you totally disconnected
Grounds.
in Fantasy Grounds. I feel like the internet is not being our friends today.
No, it is not.
Not a tasty friend. No tasty friend.
Okay, so Aleran has a copper union pin. Brighton has a union pin now. Izzy has one.
Alright, I'll try reconnecting.
Kit Kat has one.
Yay.
Pans has a pin, though I don't know how he's going to wear it. I guess he can
It
put it on
pins
his
it to his shirt.
His
He's got a
t-shirt.
t-shirt.
And Zaleria has a pin.
Oh, wait, hold on. Just because I want to see how badly this happens.
There's Nissha.
After dropping it repeatedly because of his big, clumsy, Warforged fingers, he finally pins it on.
Alright. You could have asked for help, Pans.
Yeah.
Stares blankly off like 1,000-yard stare, like, oh. That would have been smart.
Are you still loading the game, Nissha? It's probably loading a lot of crap.
Yeah.
I will continue, and I will give you a pin once you're back in game. Nola says to you as she hands out the pins.
If you show these to any union craftsperson, you should receive the appropriate copper discount towards gear, healing, crafting, and supplies. Mind you, at the moment, with Local 86 being a news operation, your quartermaster handles any gear purchases or crafting. You can find Delilah at the Cannon Manufactory, where some of yous did your team building exercise. Brother Malden of the Sovereign Host is the local's cleric, but yous probably won't need him with Izzy here working with you. Any questions?
Nope.
Nope.
But Paco might need some help, but he's a ways away.
Okay, I think I'm reconnected now.
Okay, I gave you a pin.
Oh. Well, with that settled, allow me to introduce the Mayor of Korthos, Viggy Store.
And she gestures towards the short and plump gentleman, the human on the left. And the mayor waves at you, and it kind of gibbers, "Oh, no, yes, hello."
Hi there.
And he just gives this big grin. He's like kind of happy-go-lucky. And then Nola motions towards the elf to her right, who has quietly been observing these proceedings and Pants' whole pinning montage. And she says,
This is the first harbor master of Korthos, Captain Rena de Tarani.
and Nola looks like she's struggling how to pronounce his name. And she looks over at Renar, and you see him wink at her and pinch his fingers in the air like, ooh, she was so close. Then Renar demurs, kind of murmuring, "Former captain, I am retired from the sea." And then Nola continues.
Sorry to interrupt. Did she say that he was the quartermaster too?
He is the harbor master.
Harbor master.
The
Okay.
first harbor master of Korthos. Up till now, they have not bothered with a harbor master at their docks. So he is the equivalent of Harbor Master Zin in Stormreach, but for Korthos.
Ah. Okay.
Well, technically, don't you need more than one dock for it to be called a harbor?
Technically. What does Pants know about harbors?
Well, that's why he was asking that as a question. He just kind of mumbled that off into the ether, just huh.
Renaro kind
Not
of raised an eyebrow at you and he says, "Who says we will not have more than one dock one day?"
oh.
Nola continues and she says, "Both the mayor and the harbor master are part of the council that presides over the village of Korthos. And as host to Local 86, they or the other council members may call upon you to assist on garrison tasks. They may also have paying jobs contracted with the union, so keep that in mind if you want to advance your seniority beyond Kappa." And she claps her hands and she says, "If there are no more questions, I'll leave you to talk amongst yourselves. I gotta board a boat back to Stormreach. I'll be in touch. But in case it's an emergency, in case of emergency, House Civis now has a sending station at the Wavecrest Tavern. Show them your union insignia, and it's good for one message per day, but don't use it unless you have to. Emergencies only. Don't be those adventurers always crying about the kobolds and oozes in dungeons. Farewell, kids. I leave you in safe hands." And she walks up to Zaleria and gets into the little rowboat, and they take off for the sojourn that's parked out in the bay. And Viggy Store claps his hands together. He's very excited that you are standing in front of him. His face is beaming. And he says, "Oh, well, so glad you're here. Korthos making progress, that's what I say. Oh my, all the new people. We know Pants, you were here for some of that trouble with the cult and the dragon. No, yes? Good lad. Keeps watch over a bar like no one's business. Of course, there was no business. We were all hiding out from the cult. Still, brother of the blockade, just like Renar here." And Viggy slaps the harbor master on the shoulder, and the elf just kind of gives him this tolerant look, like Viggy's a 3-year-old explaining that he has toes. Whatever. Korthos knows who Pants is. And the mayor points to some of the rest of you, and he says, "One of you is the talented halfling, Brighton. I don't want to make assumptions which. Yes, no. Some people are very sensitive when you point out race and or religion, region of origin, or religion, or many other things. I don't want to offend. Oh yes, no." And the harbor master lets out a sigh, and he's like, "Don't worry, Viggy. Most of them have been here before. Their reputations precede them. Sigmund Barson has sung the praises of Brighton and Zaleria, Nissha and Aleran. Something to do with rescuing his cheeks." While the 4 of you haven't met Renard de Thorani, he nods to each one of you correctly, like he obviously knows who each of you are from your previous visit. Then Renard turns his attention to the 2 members of the party who have not been to Korthos before, to Kit Kat and Izzy. And he nods to Kit Kat, and he says, "Kit Kat, I have heard of your troubles in Stormreach. House Violon has placed great favor upon the Lady Rara, to the detriment of your career. Such a shame.
Such a shame.
Perhaps you would be willing to perform as part of the Thaw festival here in Korthos?
I would be honored.
It would be a small venue for one who once graced the stage at the Live Wood Theatre in Stormreach like you. But our Storani can do its modest part to make it worth your while. Well, on your talents will add a necessary joy to the village's celebration.
I would be honored to perform.
As the festival moves forward, I will make arrangements for you for the great performances. The festival will wrap up with a great bonfire, and it will be a perfect opportunity for you to perform.
Okay.
And then Renard steps forward towards Izzy, and he takes Izzy's hand and he kisses it. And he says,
Lady Isabrix de Jarasco, so far away from your house enclave. I am a vagabond of my house as well. I never expected to make roots on such an island as this, but we find a place where we are needed, yes?
Yes, we do go where we are needed.
Jarasco's loss is Korthos' gain. Let us hope your house does not miss you too much, no?
I'm hoping they don't.
the mayor claps his hands together again, and he's just gushing. You've arrived at such an exciting time! The Thaw festival is just starting. The entire village is invited to a feast in the town hall night. You should come and meet everybody. No, yes! At this point, a villager storms up angrily.
Rawr.
He approaches angrily and he demands to know when his wife is going to be released from the brig. And he's like, Viggy, you can't keep avoiding me. When is my wife going to be released from the garrison brig? This is intolerable. And the mayor just appears embarrassed. And he's, oh dear, oh no, oh my, oh yes. Olev, don't get so upset. They're there. These things are well in hand and under consideration. Come to my office, have a nice cup of tea, and you can calm yourself. Oh yes, no, yes. And Viggy's store escorts the man named Olev away from you. And you hear Olev shouting gruffly as they go, I will not calm down! And they head towards a large 2-story building that Pants knows is the town hall. During the siege on Korthos, the entire village would congregate there, sleeping on pallets on the 2nd floor, defending themselves from attacks from the Sahuagin and cultists in the night. So he has stood watch in many a corner of that building.
Many corners.
As they walk away, Renard makes the comment, The dragon may be gone, the cult of the devourer scattered, but some wounds left on Korthos fester. And then he nods at all of you and says, I will leave you to recover from your voyage. Most of Korthos will be at the town hall tonight for the Feast of the Thaw. I trust we will talk more about what you might do of interest in the village then. And if you want, if you have anything else you want to say to him before he goes, you can. But otherwise, you can explore and investigate things on Korthos up until the dinner party, the feast, starting off the Thaw Festival.
At this point, because of his accent, Pants is 100% convinced that this is a festival about noodle soup.
Okay.
He kept saying the Thaw Festival, so I was like, okay, so it's about Thaw. Cool.
The Thaw. The Thaw. I'm not sure how they would pronounce it. Those House Fierlin and House Tarani elves have weird accents.
In your Eberron they do.
I see what you typed.
Yeah, that's where he's like, oh, it's about noodle soup. Okay.
I mean, yeah, elves that aren't in one of those houses, they don't talk like that. Elves from Arenal and Valinar don't talk like that. It's just those house elves.
It's kind of like the lisp that for Spanish in
Exactly.
the Castile
Absolutely.
So yeah, he's gonna. Pence will just post up, waiting for the festival. He's been here for a little while, so there's not really much of an exploration aspect for him.
So, kind of just summarize because yeah, a lot of talking at you.
Huh.
There is, you have pins now, and you can use those to get any kind of discounts that are associated with being part of the union and having copper seniority. And if you look on the story tab, there should be something already shared with you called Heroic Union of Greater Stormreach and Greater Sharn that tells you what those benefits are for different tiers of favor.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nola told you that Delilah is the quartermaster slash artificer slash alchemist on the island, and she has a forge at the Cannith Manufactory that is on the southern side of the island. And 5 of you were there before, doing a training exercise, so you're vaguely familiar with where you're supposed to go. If you want to check out the quartermaster and pick up any more supplies or check out what they might have. You've noticed also a couple changes in the island since last you were here. If you want to take a look at the Sunnyside Island map or the decal on the background of your Fantasy Ground session, you can see that a 3rd garrison tower has been constructed to the northeast of the island. It's about 3 stories tall, and you can see that there are fires blazing on the top of it, kind of like a lighthouse for boats coming into the harbor.
Oh, we got a big old couple ballistas now.
There have been ballistas delivered and assembled, 2 of them, to guard the harbor. You also see that there have been a couple shrines set up. And Izzy sees to the north a symbol of the sovereign host and a small building there for people to worship. And there's also, it's not an enclosed building, it's more like, I want to say,
An open longhouse?
more like a gazebo. It has a roof, but some open walls, and in the center there is a bright bluish silver flame that is burning there. And there's like a little halfling, there's a halfling standing guard by those fires, and this seems to be a shrine where people can worship the silver flame. And there's been a little bit of construction, a few new homes and houses, because the population has shifted in the time there was some influx of population after the siege of Korthos. Some people who were stranded here during the blockade, who survived, decided to stay and put down roots.
Yay, new population.
As you look around the surroundings, you see an old couple. They're just standing off a little bit to the left of the docks, and they're fighting. They're just arguing, yelling at each other like fishmongers. Don't care who hears them. And the woman is yelling at her husband, and his name is Willie, and she's yelling at him about drinking too much and hanging out with his friends. And he yells back that he's only doing it so he doesn't have to spend so much time with her. So they're carrying on. The normal places that you've been to before, like the Wavecrest Tavern is still there, and the Wavecrest Tavern is actually where your bunks are. So you have a couple hours to spend time before the feast. Is there anything particular you'd like to do?
I'd like to probably see the quartermaster and see if there's any supplies that we can pick up, and then maybe bunk out for an hour before the festivities begin.
I would spend my time in the shrine.
All right. When you go to the shrine, Brother Malden is there. And he greets you. He's not excessively talkative. He's pretty quiet. But, you know, as people in your profession often are, there are times that you take where you keep your thoughts to yourselves and you're kind of lost in prayer for times and thinking about the nature of the work you've dedicated your life to.
Now, I may have missed it in the legend here, but did you say where our guild lodgings were?
In the Wavecrest Tavern.
Okay, so we don't have a guild hall yet.
No.
Okay.
Now it's kind of divided. Like you're sleeping in the tavern. And let me share the tavern map again. Actually, it's been a really long time since any of you have seen the tavern map. But there's one room off of the tavern through a single door that has 4 bunk beds in it.
Oh, yep, I see it. Southeast.
A couple foot lockers, 1 chest of drawers, and 1 kind of dusty mirror, raggedy rugs. It's nothing fancy. It's serviceable. And it's pretty clean. So that's where you sleep, and you can eat 3 meals a day from of food from the tavern fare. And I was looking for something I wanted to share with Aleran about the quartermaster, but it might not have actually loaded it into the game, so that's fun.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I don't think we're dying for anything at the moment, so.
It's pretty quick though.
Where is the feast being held?
In the town hall.
Okay. Brighton is going to go to the newly erected garrison tower to the northeast with his giant wineskin to go share some drinks with some fellow soldiers.
When you get there, you find a Warforged on the first floor. He introduces himself as Ingram. And at first he's going to question who you are, but then he spots your pen and he assumes that, oh, you're with the Union. He doesn't really drink. So he'll watch you and he'll ask if you wanted to train any.
If I want to train?
Yes, like do you want to combat and do some sparring? Ingram he's on duty at the garrison, and he knows that the Union is supposed to kind of support the garrison in defending the island. So this is just normal stuff that they do as soldiers on the island, is every day doing training and doing some kind of rounds and surveys of the island and coordinating the island's defense. So he's treating you as another member of the garrison.
I'm going to hold off on sparring riff right now. But I'll still drink in his presence.
Now, Aleran, you hike about a mile out of the village.
Okay.
To the southwest, and you come upon the ginormous abandoned Kenneth manufactory. It's not so abandoned anymore. This place was leased by House Kenneth at one point during the last war and used to manufacture various inventions, including some of the Warforged on the island. But before the last war ended, the House Kenneth abandoned it for its own reasons. None of you are aware of what that was. And the village has kind of taken possession back now since the end of the siege. And just after the siege, part of the eastern manufactory was cleared out, specifically the areas where Lars Hayden hid out during the siege. And the Union, what other members of the Union there are on the island, they are using some of the rooms in this facility for your own training, for doing tests of prospective members, like 5 of you went through. And the quartermaster is here, as is a adapted forge that she uses for crafting and storage. And as you wander into the manufactory and you make your way back to the large room that you're familiar with, you find a half-orc with large goggles on. And she has tongs and a hammer, and she's obviously working on something. And she greets you. Again, she sees your copper pen, and she recognizes, you must be with the Union. Well met.
I am, and hail, and hi.
Wow.
That was elegant.
That was so smooth.
Well, I'm used to being in the woods.
How can I help you?
I'm new to the island and looking for supplies. Nothing particularly in mind, but just to see what's available.
We have a pretty large variety here, for an island. Give me an idea of maybe what you're looking for. I can tell if we have it in stock. Maybe if we can acquire it for you, there's some things we can get now and then. If it's something more rare, more exotic or powerful, sometimes with supply and flow within the Union, we may not be able to get it. Of course, crafting's always an option, but to craft something, you'd have to have the right materials to make it. But say, you wanted to make your weapon hit harder, increase its strength from breakage and blows, or if you wanted to make it have some kind of magical damage. I know a couple ways of improving weapons, improving armor, and I've made a few magical items here and there, mundane things, boots of jumping, bracers of archery, that kind of thing. If I had the right supplies, I might be able to construct something like that.
What if I was interested in improving my armor? What would that cost, and what kind of materials would that take?
Well, let me think. Say, a brand new suit of armor, you'd need to get, whatever metals that it would be crafted out of. Typically for a suit of, you use heavy armor, right?
Yes.
For a suit of heavy armor made out of some kind of, exotic metal, something like, I don't know, adamantine, say, I'd probably need 8 ingots of ore to construct a piece of heavy armor.
Okay.
If it's one of the fancier woods, I'd still need 8 units, but the inherent cost of constructing the item is a little bit higher. Now, if you want to take your basic set of mundane armor and improve it so that it's enhanced by 1 factor, the ingredients I would need for that would include, I don't know, a mystical plant, a glow moss clump, a swaying mushroom cluster, and maybe some manufacturing composite. I'd need 3 medium Cannith essences. Sometimes we have those in stock, but not all the time. Usually you probably have to acquire them through somebody with House Cannith, or, you know, come across them some other, you know, way that you don't have to tell me about.
Okay.
I'd need some dragon shards too. 5 Siberys, 5 Kyber, and 1 purified Eberron. And then subtotal, since you're copper seniority, it costs about 250 gold pieces for the rest of the construction, the time and resources, use of the forge to make it. All in all, though, that's half the price of what you'd probably pay from a street vendor.
Okay, very interesting. I think I have some work to do.
That's pretty much what you'd need for improving your armor, improving a basic, you know, a masterwork weapon. If you ever have any little pieces of, you know, crypt moss queens or lily petals, I can make those into potions of healing. And if you ever come across a sanguine moth, with that and an Eberron dragon shard, a small one, I can make a potion of cat's grace, which some people seem to like, if they're speedy types. Most of the other stuff that we carry is mundane, you know, a wide arrangement of different things. If you're looking for a specific type of armor that you'd like to trade out, special things here, again, you probably need to put in a request, and I'll see if I can find it for you. Sometimes members of the union will sell gear back to the union for credit, and so we get various pieces of things in our inventory, and if that coincides with something that you're looking for, you might get lucky. I also have a couple of potions that I keep in stock, and I'm sharing that now. The union is usually more likely to keep things on hand that seem likely to aid adventurers in getting their work done than fancy namby-pamby stuff.
And the potions and scrolls you generally have all the time?
Yeah, these are the potions and scrolls that we have in stock all the time. That might change as time goes on. I'm always studying.
Okay.
But these are the current recipes that I know and that I can keep on hand. So if you want to sell anything that you guys have that you don't want to hold on to for potential crafting and stuff now, you could sell things back to the quartermaster. Delilah will buy them up to a certain point. There's only a certain amount of gold that she keeps on hand, so say if you had some fantastical thing that was worth more than 5,000 gold pieces, she wouldn't have enough money to buy it off of you outright. But she could arrange some kind of larger scale purchase with the union on the mainland. It would take longer. It wouldn't be like same day.
I think at this time, Lila for a time, and then I think I will return to the Wavecrest. Wave Crasher.
And in terms of crafting, kind of going forward out of like kind of out of character thing, there's 2 ways. You can just totally ignore it and just sell your ingredients back as you find them, and just take the gold and run, and hope you find things, or, you know, get things to buy that are what you're looking for. And I will say that those rolls in the tower, that's part of what kind of is determining whether or not you're going to find something you're looking for. That roll in the tower that we did at the beginning of the session.
I thought that was to see if we died from dysentery.
Yeah. Well, that's for later in the session. I can also send you a spreadsheet of all the possible items that you can craft right now and the effects that you can craft right now, if you want to dive into it. So let me know. Or if there's something you'd like to know, like you just said, asking about how would I upgrade my armor, I can tell you the specific things that you would need to make that happen. And if it's not something that I already know the combination for, Delilah will just probably tell you she needs to research it, and I'll get back to you. So you head back to the Wavecrest Tavern, Aleran. And as you get within sight of it, a little black dot kind of scurries out from behind the tavern. And it stops. And then you see it start to run toward you. And it's Anka the chicken!
Chicken!
The little black silky chicken that you fed popcorn to way back when.
Correction, feathery bok demon.
And Anka the chicken stops in front of you, and she kind of looks up at you with the precious moment eyes, and she just lets out a little bok. I think she's asking for more popcorn.
No.
I don't think I don't think we held on to that. I don't think I have any more popcorn to feed her. I lean down and give her a little pat and tell her, not that she'd understand, but tell her that I don't have any popcorn for her today.
As you go into the tavern, she'll follow you.
Okay.
Is there anything else anyone would like to do before the feast?
Being posted up inside the tavern when Aleran enters with Anka the chicken. Because of course this is his favored terrain, being in a bar. Pants locks eyes with the chicken. And he's just keeping in, dead targeting on the feathery bok demon. Doesn't do anything, just I'm watching you.
Aleran kind of stops by Pants on his way in and says, I'm going to get a quick meal and go in and catch a little nap. And just kind of ask Pants to keep an eye on things and let me know if any danger pops up.
Oh, of course, that's what I do.
Zaleria, how about you? Are you doing anything in particular this afternoon?
Not anything in particular. I'm just watching everything that's going on.
Okay. I guess you probably are showing Bambershoot what an island is.
Yeah, we're doing a little sightseeing.
Nissha, what are you doing this afternoon?
Sharpening my sword.
Do you just do that in the street?
Just like sitting in front of the tavern.
After a while, the man that the mayor called Olev kind of mopes up beside you and sits dejectedly on the porch of the tavern. And you just hear him sigh a lot.
I ignore him.
So
cold.
She is so very. Kit Kat, how do you spend your afternoon? Oops.
Tessa was, she's back.
Okay.
Sorry, what was it?
How do you spend your afternoon? How does Kit Kat spend her afternoon?
Kit Kat spends her afternoon going like warming up kinda and like going through songs in her head and kinda singing them lightly out loud. Normal stuff she does when
just
she's
rehearsing.
bored. Yeah. That's basically all she does. She might get like a glass of water or something and keep her vocal cords kind of nice and moist. You know, normal stuff.
Isabrix is at the temple. Pants is at the tavern. The day moves on. The sun goes down, and you start to see figures from all over the village start to enter the town hall. A large clasp of people. And you all gather, and you make your way over the town hall as well. And following the groups of people, you come in the front doors. You see a sign to your left that says it's for the local library. You walk through a large open room that has many benches and kind of a desk with 5 chairs that looks like it's kind of a council town hall meeting room. There are a couple other rooms that look like they're for storage and the mayor's office. And then you head up a spiral staircase in the back of the first floor. And when you reach the second floor, you see smoky torchlight and an exuberant crowd filling this floor of the town hall. I'm sharing another map. It's possible that the entire village has crammed into the room for this feast.
Wow. This is like the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, like the Whoville.
They're eating their
Christmas
roast beast.
Dinner. Yeah.
Wine and ale flow freely, so there is as much as Brighton wants to down. He can have 3 wineskins, like 1 for each hand and 1 on standby.
About to say, he has 3 hands.
Mm-hmm. Well,
okay.
The 3rd is for Brightclaw, for his Velociraptor's memory. There are honeyed pastries, fresh fruit and vegetables. Red meat has been brought from Stormreach for the celebration. And from what you hear people talking about, apparently Lars Hayton and Renard de Thrani both put forth purses of coin to pay for the entertainment of all.
Can I just point out from a player perspective here that every single one of those tokens is unique. Good gravy.
You can see there's a lot of people talking and mingling around the table. People frequently would get up from their spot at the table and move around and say hello to their neighbors. So you can take a seat where you want to. I guess I have to drag you. I'm assuming Zaleria left Bamber Shoot back at the tavern.
Yes, he's back at the tavern.
Did my Discord just go weird, or are we silent?
We're all weird and silent. Okay, who have I
Okay.
not moved onto the map? I'm missing somebody. Nissha. Okay, that should be all 7 of you.
That map is crazy.
It
In a
is.
good way.
It is pretty
Like
crazy.
some scene out of Valhalla.
Now, Kit Kat, she's seated between 2 women, Matthias and Gunhild. And they are...
Did you name all of these people?
This is DDO.
Good.
This is Dungeons & Dragons Online. If you would like to enjoy Dungeons & Dragons Online, you too can go to Korthos and talk to all these NPCs.
Ooh.
These women that you're sitting between are so gossipy. They will tell you everybody's business. If you point to someone around the table, they will tell you everything they know about them and then some. And they're also eager to talk about the former cultists who have been captured and that are in the Garrison Tower prison and awaiting trial, because some of them, including the people who used to be in the village, are soulless monsters and they deserve to be executed. And these women cannot wait until that happens because they deserve everything that they get.
What have they done?
What have they done? They aided the cultist and the Sawagan in kidnapping us, in killing us. They're traitors. They're murderers. They're fiends. They're practically Sawagan.
Ooh.
And I mean, they say that Olev will tell you that it isn't his wife's fault, that Agnetha had no choice, and that they should set her free, but they saw her attack the village. They saw her kill people, and she is not a good person, and she deserves to be put to death. In front of the town, they want everyone to be publicly hung or decapitated. They want blood.
Nissha is down with this idea.
Nissha is across the room.
Now,
I thought this was supposed to be a happy occasion.
well, these women, they're happy, but they're happy about the potential misfortune of whoever's imprisoned in the Garrison Tower. They're a bit bloodthirsty.
Interesting.
Including that Olev's wife, who was heavy sighing on the forge.
And Olev is here now too. You see him, and he's kind of, dejected. He's not enjoying the celebration like so many of the people in this room surrounding you. And he's drinking heavily, but otherwise he's quiet and looks like he's fuming.
Is this? Am
What's up
I
with
picking
him?
up any potential risk vibes from him?
His pants getting up potential like he's a threat? At this point, I would say no.
So is he like a yellow?
Do an
alert,
insight roll.
kind of? All right. See if he may be a problem.
Okay, Pants, you do think that there's a lot going on in this man's head, and he is the type of person who, well, maybe he won't start a fight, but you think he might get into an argument with somebody. He's the type of person who might have to be escorted down the line.
Okay. Whereabouts is Olev on this map?
This is me trying to remember where I put Olev on this map.
There's so many.
The downside is I dragged everybody as just tokens rather than as characters, so they aren't labeled clearly for your reference.
Yeah, but we don't have the names pop up right now.
Or yeah, that's because they aren't actual NPCs; they're just the tokens only.
So you can just pick one.
Actually, they're actually like specific people. Olev, he's in a green shirt.
Green shirt.
Green shirt. Okay.
I see him on the map. He might not actually be on the map. Oh, there he is. He's on the left side of the table, kind of next to Aleran, actually.
Oh, there he is, next to Aleran. All right.
Kind of drinking quietly. Sounds like Aleran's vibe as well, is it? At least I know in the past, Aleran, when he goes into taverns and social situations, he kind of keeps to himself and is very quiet.
Yeah, just constantly observing, making sure his back isn't to a door, and just kind of keeping an eye on things in general.
Your back is to a door right now, but, you know, there's nobody sitting right next to you. And the guy to your right is just as quiet and non-interactive as you are. And the halfling to your left is the cleric of the Silver Flame. And she tries to start out a conversation asking if you're familiar with the brightness and the glory of the flame and how it brings destruction to all things evil. But you seem to kind of blow her off, and she immediately turns to the drow on her left and gets into a whole little debate discussion with him instead. The drow on her left is Roanwave, one of the crew of the Sojourn, but also he's a connection of Renard de Thorani. You've seen him talking to him on the dock earlier. Nissha she's next to a man named Garth. And Garth tries to talk to her about Sigmund Bowerson and how great he is. And he's talking about how Sigmund is going to start distilling Sully's old grog, because that stuff is famous. People come from continents away. There are people who have come from Sharn to drink this grog. And now Sigmund is going to mass produce it. And they're all going to be rich. And Sigmund is the greatest. And he can do he just thinks that Sigmund is a rock star. Not that rock stars exist in Eberron, unless you count Lady Rara.
We just need a little bit of seed capital. Sorry.
So he's just talking about Sigmund Bowerson and how great Sigmund Bowerson is. And then to the right of you is Enif Ross. And he's really happy, and he's toasting to survival. Apparently, he is one of the villagers who had been kidnapped by the cultists during the siege. And he was rescued by the saviors of Korthos. And he is so thrilled that he survived. And he talks about how that there was torture and that they nearly starved to death, but all of the survivors who are here tonight made it through, and they came out the other side, and they're looking forward to, he's looking forward to living life and making the most of it. Brighton is also next to one of the survivors, someone who had been taken prisoner.
Is that the redhead sitting next to me?
Yes. That is actually Prasine Weir, and her brother is sitting to her left. She had been taken, and she was also rescued by the saviors of Korthos. She talks about some of the rumors going on around town about the prisoners that are being held in the garrison tower, about Agnetha Steinholm, Olaf's wife. And they're another pair of brothers and sisters, much like her brother Linus and her. except for, they were captured by the garrison just after the dragon was freed. And she thinks that they're innocent of any wrongdoing. She remembers them being held captive at the Old Kenneth Aqueduct along with her, and she saw them be tortured, and she never saw them raising arms or giving in to the cultists. She never saw them give in to the brainwashing that happened. And she doesn't believe that they're really guilty of anything. She thinks they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time when the garrison was out marching. Like maybe, they got lost after the saviors of Korthos freed everyone. So she's worried that they're going to get hurt and be blamed for something that they're not guilty of. And she'd rather that all of the prisoners just be banished from the island, that she doesn't want to see anybody put to death. She just wants to let go and move on.
Well, that just got complicated.
To the right of you, Brighton, is the only other person out among the villagers who doesn't look completely happy about this meal. But unlike Olev, who looks a bit like he's fuming, this man just looks sad. His name is Arnvald Appelvon. And he's in mourning because his 2 sons took sail the day before the dragon arrived. They were headed towards Sharn, but he hasn't heard anything. He doesn't know whether his sons are alive or dead. And he's fearful that they didn't make it out away from the island safely in time. So he's just missing his sons Ellert and Yannick and worrying about their fate. And he's trying to celebrate with the rest of the villagers, but he's not totally succeeding. Izzy, you're seated near some of the Bowerson family. So it is Gunnar and Merja, 2 of Sigmund and Ingrid Bowerson's kids. And, they're hospitable, they're good-natured. Gunnar is with the garrison, and he talks about protecting the village. He's also dubious about the prisoners, the cultist prisoners. He thinks they probably should be executed, and he thinks that's, his father's first inclination, but his sister's been working on it. He says that that's not what Kaja wants. And Kaja, makes some good points about it. She says that if we put them to death, we're no better than the Sawagan and the cultists, and it would be better to banish them. And he's not 100%, certain that she isn't right. Merja just talks about getting out of Korthos. She, even with all the stuff that's happened lately, she'd always been dreaming of going to Stormreach and living in the bigger city. So she's still talking about that, and she's kind of complaining that now her dad is going to be brewing Old Sully's grog all the time. She's going to have to do more and more work running the bar, doing the day-to-day inventory upkeep, and she's not looking forward to that. Zaleria is sitting next to Delilah, the quartermaster of the Union. And she's sitting next to Kidda the Cutter. Kidda does some, light leather working in the village. She also was one of the prisoners of the cultist who was rescued. Zaleria, make a perception check.
Hold on, I'm getting to it.
While you're seated next to Kita, you notice that she kind of seems to be jerking a little bit in her seat, and every once in a while she seems to be talking to herself. And if when she catches you staring at her, she asks you what you're looking at.
Okay, I just turn my head quickly back to the center of the table and just pretend I wasn't looking at her.
And she's like, that's right, look away. Everyone sees you. Everyone will be seen. The Devourer's coming back and it's gonna take us. There's no escape. We're all going to die. The Devourer is coming.
Does someone have that Halloween piano theme on a soundbite?
You recognize at one end of the table, Old Willie and Wilma Oaksworn that you saw earlier by the docks arguing. They're still arguing over dinner. Wilma, she's yelling at Old Willie about he's drinking too much, and he's yelling that he's drinking so much because he has to put up with her, and she should drink more and probably make her a better personality. And then they start arguing. They start arguing about the prisoners as well. Wilma thinking, they should be executed. But Willie's a bit softer. And he says, hey, the cultists did what they had to survive. So let them move on to make a new life. Because what they've done is going to haunt them anyhow. And that's punishment enough. And then at one point, the mayor of Viggy's store gets up and starts wandering around. And he's obviously super drunk. He's hiccuping. And he stumbles up to Pants and kind of falls against him. And he tells you, Pants, he says, I'm so happy! My daughter's alive. My daughter Iris is alive and she's so good. I want to free those prisoners. She tells me I should free those prisoners. And she's right. They should be free. Because Hagar and Zara Fjord and Agnetha, they were villagers. They were villagers just like Arissa. But, I can't stand up to Ursa. I can't stand up to Sigmund. I can't stand up to Lars. They won't listen to me. No. Yes, oh no.
Just silently supporting him and doing the awkward RoboCop pat on the back.
And he just clings to you and he's like, you gotta tell him, Pants. You gotta tell him it ain't right.
I'm assuming that Nissha and Aleran are in earshot of this?
Yeah, they're within earshot.
Okay. Are either of them looking in this general direction?
Yes, I've kind of glancing, turn just enough sideways that I can kind of watch you out of my peripheral view.
Okay. Pants makes eye contact over Viggy's shoulder and just kind of like blinks help in Morse code, like because he can't mouth anything. Like gestures at the mayor, going, "Oh, what do I do?"
And after crying for a minute, Viggy starts beaming back up at you again, and he kind of hugs you, Pants. Awkwardly, of course.
Oh, so much cringe right now.
And he says, I'm so happy! And he spins around, and he stumbles off, runs up to somebody else around the table, Linus Weir, and he goes through the motions. You hear him like crying about how happy he is, and crying about the prisoners, and then he gets too far away to hear anymore.
So, what was I supposed to do with that?
And I give Pants kind of a pat on the shoulder and just tell him that he did the best he could. Everything's okay.
Okay.
Ursa,
That's all I have to say about that.
Ursa Jensbard is the head of the garrison on Korthos. And she gets up from the table and she approaches Nissha. And she introduces herself and she says, I have some garrison work. My men, they're a little bit overwhelmed, trying to clean up the island, clear out the remnants of the cultists in the aftermath of the dragon's release. They've been clearing out shrines of the Devourer on the southwest side of the island, but some of them keep getting sick. They have their hands full to bringing back the dregs of the cultists. Some of them are getting a little emotional about it. I don't really approve. You know, they're soldiers. They should toughen up. And I decided that dealing with these cultists that used to be villagers is too much for some of them to handle, and I need people who are emotionless, calm, and take this job seriously to deal with it.
Nissha just nods. She obviously agrees.
We have 2 weeks before the bonfire ends the festival, and that's going to be on the southeast side of the island, where the last of the ice remains. Rena is carving some kind of ice dragon for the bonfire. It's going to be a spectacle. I need to have any, stray bodies of the fallen, any cultists rounded up, and all signs of the shrines to the Devourer eradicated from the countryside. I can give you a map of what Gunnar has scouted is still out there. But if you could handle this anytime in the next 2 weeks, it would be appreciated.
I can't speak for the others, but I think that's something we could handle.
Good. I think you can handle this, because of the emotional nature that some of my men are expressing. They need to get over it because all of these cultists, they're going to be hung, they're going to be put to death at the final bonfire if I have anything to do with it. It's no way to run an army just letting people free after they commit atrocities, let me tell you.
And I agree.
She nods, and you see some signs of, that she respects your opinion. And then she goes back to where she was, seated next to Ingram, the Warforged that Brighton met earlier. Renar actually approaches Izzy. And he says, Lady Izzy. What does he say? Something has come up. A potential job I would like to hire the union for. The feast room here, it is so noisy. We cannot talk here, and it is a matter of some urgency. So if you would like to gather your party and meet me on the first floor in the council room, we can discuss it in private.
Okay. I will see if I can break my party away from their feast.
Okay. As you're starting to gather your party before venturing forth. Sorry. Lars Hayden calls for everyone's attention and starts to give a toast. People of Korthos, I admit there was a time I was done with this village and the bodies in it. And you hear these shocked murmurs ripple through the throng, because, he's not playing any games.
Double gasp.
Lars continues. A time when Korthos knew only fear and terror at the hands of the devilish Sawagan and their cult. But fear did not stop you from defending yourselves. The fear and the Sawagan did not have their way with me. We beat them off. We stand here, a band of citizens united toward our survival. I see your courage, and I am inspired. Let this, our first festival of the dragon's Thaw, celebrate the release of the dragon, Isabrix, and the freedom of our village from tyranny. And a bunch of villagers erupt in cheers. And Lars continues. Let us celebrate the strength of every one of us. Look to the future and stoke the fires of friendship, new and old. And at this point, Olev stands up and he shouts derisively, not everyone in the village is here who has the right to be. What about my wife, Zara and Hagar Fjord? Most of you here don't have to live through what they suffered and survived, but you left them rot in a garrison jail. And there's more murmurs. Some people agreeing with Olev.
At this point, I'm assuming he is elevated to an orange.
Yes, he's orange.
Kind of.
Some people are agreeing with Olev, some people aren't. Some people are telling him to sit down and shut up. And Lars then bellows back, enough, Olev! You lost your brother. You have my sympathies. But your wife raided this village in the dark with her cult and took her neighbors screaming in the night to their death. She will receive justice for that. Anyone guilty of conspiring will meet justice. Grieve, my friend. Your Agnetha died a month ago. Lay her to rest. And Olev scoffs, and he storms out of the hall. Without being bounced. And then Lars sighs and toasts the hall anew. Kaja Bowdaughter to his side looks pensive and sad that she's not totally on board with what he's saying, and she's a bit disappointed. Lars says, we all had to make a choice when Korthos was under siege, to stand or to bow. Everyone here made the right choice. Stand with me now. Drink! And there's more cheering, and most of the village around the table stands and lifts their drinks and toasts along with Lars.
Complicated.
Does it look awkward that we're not toasting?
Well, at this point, you were already kind of standing because you were gathering the party to venture forth to the first floor. So it kind of looks like you're semi-participating because you're not still sitting down at the table. You're at least on your feet.
Well, but she is a halfling, so, I mean, maybe the height, kind of puts her at, shoulder level to everyone else, and it's not totally obvious.
Are you being shortest?
No, I'm using it as a height advantage in this case.
Yes, any other advantage he'd be any other situation he'd be shortest, but in this one he's using it to my advantage.
True. Nobody
Like,
can
because he's not standing up on the bench, you know.
Nobody can
like...
see whether or not you're participating.
They just basically see like my top knot and the knitting needles just bouncing by.
The mental image that with the bobbing needles.
Needles just bobbing alongside the table.
Why are there knitting needles just floating by the table?
The knitting poltergeist.
So, I'm going to share another map with you.
As I'm assuming at this point we've all been collected and are being herded downstairs.
Yeah, I'm herding you downstairs. Who do I not have?
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.
Ah.
Oh, there's Kit Kat.
Too many maps.
Shut some of them.
Yeah, you can shut all the previous maps off.
Sweet, okay.
So Renar greets you. And he thanks you for meeting with him. And he begins to tell you that he has a friend named Baudry Cardamon. Baudry is in shipping and storage in Stormreach, and lately he has experienced plummeting fortunes. Pirates have taken his ships, and kobolds have been pilfering and vandalizing his goods. Clients are deserting him in droves. Baudry blames his bugbear rival, the smuggler Hazadil, for his woes. Hazadil obviously has wealthy compatriots greasing the wheels of the city guard for all the notice they've taken of the rampant injustice in Stormreach Harbor. This is one of the reasons that Renar decided to retire. He was sick of the corruption. Baudry's coffers are feeling the strain, and he doesn't currently have the means to retaliate against Hazadil. Renar has been trying to think of ways he might help his friend. He says a ship was recently spotted adrift just off the coastal waters south of Korthos. Only maybe half a day's sail out from the land. This is a ship called the Emperor of the Waves, a galleon that was once leased by Cardamon several years prior that he believed was lost at sea. With the vessel's resurrection, Baudry and Renar bank some hope that its cargo might still be intact, and its recovery could reverse Baudry's troubles. Renar explains that the ship holds a magic box containing promissory notes and property deeds worth a large sum of platinum. This money would provide Baudry valuable capital to use in his ongoing troubles and possibly save his Stormreach business. As a gesture of good faith, Renar offers you an advance payment of 100 gold pieces each. And he says if you successfully retrieve the box, Baudry will pay the party 2,000 gold pieces.
Is that a lot of gold pieces?
It's enough to buy yourself a new piece of wood.
Okay.
Baudry is somewhat worried that if the goods aren't retrieved quickly, Hasdiel, who he thinks has pirate associates, might come across it and get to the cargo first. Renar has his own concerns. He's only spotted this ship through his spyglass, and it looks fairly intact, but there's some signs of damage. And the ship has been missing for many, many years, so he doesn't know how seaworthy it is. Renar says he has a small eddy-powered cog that can travel quite quickly. It's his retirement boat, called the Soul of Winter, and he's willing to lend it to the mission to take you to this galleon, the Empress, for the salvage operation. And he'll send along some trusted drow crew. Some of them were at the dinner upstairs. It was like a Dusty and Lanai and Roanwave. They'll aid you in traveling to the location. And he will leave it to you to actually board the boat, find the cargo, and bring it back. He describes the box as made of a shiny blue metal. It's packed inside a wooden crate that is branded with a large letter B.
B for box.
That's possible. And then he, after describing all of this, he kind of looks at you expectantly. Are you interested in the job?
Pants will raise his hand and say, I'm in, if they are.
I tell him that we need a couple of minutes to discuss.
As you wish.
What do you guys think?
It's something. I mean, it's profitable. We're here in it for the profit. Either that or we stay on the island and watch them kill each other, and that's really not what I'm doing.
Yeah, I say we try and not kill people at this point.
I'm in.
Only if they deserve it.
Yes, but well, obviously there's a lot of issues going on this island, and when they decide to execute everybody, I really don't want to be here.
In war, you execute your traitors. That way they can't betray you again.
Yes, but I have patched many the wounds of war, and I am weary of it.
She literally has the hands of House Tarasco.
Sounds like we're all in.
Is anyone not in?
I don't think we've heard from Brighton yet.
I'm gonna drink some more.
That means he's in.
So as long as I don't have to do this sober, we're good.
Right.
Renard claps his hands together and he says, I was sent off the contract to Nola.
Now, given that our boat people are down or upstairs getting completely sloshed, I guess we're not going to leave right now.
It will take 14 hours to complete the contracts if you want to keep this formal. If you would like to proceed ahead on the honor system, that is up to you.
That was a strangely specific numbers.
I think we're better off keeping this under contract and all on the same page.
Acting out of a contract would not be in our best interests of pursuing anything other than copper level with the HUGS.
Well, I think he meant we could proceed while he's drawing the contract up. At least that's what the naive bouncer took from it. Of course he wouldn't betray us. Why would he do that?
So I think we can.
Do you want to do any kind of insight checks or something to check his?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
That is what we are saying.
Okay, roll an insight check. Dang, Izzy. You cannot tell, as far as you can tell, Renard is being quite straightforward about this job. That he is really looking to help his friend. And, you know, he's just kind of stating the facts of there will be contracts. You know, he's going to do a contract up regardless of what you do. But if you want to get a head start, you can. He'll go back upstairs and call his crew down from the feast hall.
How intoxicated is his crew?
They're drow.
So they have a high tolerance.
They don't drink so much the grog.
Little unrefined for them?
It is not exactly their taste.
Too much sugar, not enough scorpion poison.
Does Pant say this?
No, that was totally out of character. Just.
So, do you want to go ahead and proceed? Or do you want to wait until he has the contract signed before you leave?
Well, it's out of character again. It's sundown, right? It's after
it's
sundown
dark.
before the. So probably not the best of ideas to sail out, you know, in the middle of the night.
In waters that we're not 100% familiar with.
Well, they are. We aren't, but.
Yes, of course. If you
at
sail
this
now,
point,
it's half a day. So by the time you get there, it'll be daytime. But you can sail
That's
out
a good
later as
point.
well.
But if we remind me again of how big this boat is.
It's a cog. It's powered by a tiny air elemental, so it moves faster than normal.
So basically, it's a swamp skiff.
But it's large enough. It's easily large enough for 20 people. There'll be the 7 of you, and there'll be 8 crew.
It's a swamp yacht.
Yeah.
And it takes a minimum of 6 crew to operate it.
Well, the reason I was getting to that is at that point there would not be really space or the stability for anyone to get a night's rest while just laying on the
right. You won't really rest very well. There'll
so
be a
the
lot of
only
motion in
one,
the ocean.
yeah, the only one who's actually caught some disease was Aleran. So everyone else would basically be subject to a point of exhaustion.
That's
I don't think toasters get that. Yeah, immune to exhaustion. Okay, so Aleran and Pants would be the only two that wouldn't be subject to being exhausted before.
Everyone vote in chat. If you want to proceed now, type an N, and if you want to proceed in the morning, type an M.
I'm sorry.
N for now. N as in Nancy for now, and M as in moo
morning
for the morning. So that looks like everybody's waiting until the morning except for Brighton. He can keep drinking at the dock if he wants to.
Brighton's drunk, so.
Now, okay, so it looks like you're waiting till morning. Now, keep in mind, you guys, that will open you up for if you want to get any last-minute supplies for doing a salvage operation. You'll be able to stop by and see Delilah before you head out. So that's something to keep in mind for next session. Renar leaves you to start making plans and the contract and kind of getting his crew together. Before you leave, Kaja Bauerdaughter slips in to the room. And she pleads for your help. She says that you're new here, but people respect you so far, and there's going to be a vote in the village in just over a week's time, and that's when they're going to decide what happens to any of the villagers and potential cultists that have been captured, whether they're going to be banished or whether they're going to be executed during the final bonfire. And she asks for your help in persuading whoever you can to vote for banishment. And she presents the argument that if these people are killed, it will be a scourge that makes the wound even deeper, the wounds that the cult has already given to the village. And in order for the village to heal, they need to not have that on their conscience. She thanks you for listening, and then she leaves you to go about your business. And that is where we're going to end for tonight.
So this is like after, in a video game, after you finish the tutorial island and all of a sudden you have 7,000 quests in your journal?
Yeah. So
I love that.
So you have 3 potential quests at the moment, all with different time spans of urgency. And what you do with them is up to you.